Welcome to the TechUP 503 podcast by Noticias El Salvador. In this space for conversation and reflection, we explore current events from El Salvador and around the world together. You can support this project via PayPal and through the links found in the description. Find US on your favorite platform. We are on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, virtually everywhere as TechUP 503. Thank you so much.
It's great to be back. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Wednesday, February 11th, 2026.
It is.
And if you've glanced at the headlines this morning, you might be feeling a bit of whiplash.
It's a real split-screen reality, isn't it?
It is. The world right now feels like a study in these extreme contrasts. I mean, on one side, you have these massive pop culture spectacles.
Stadiums shaking, global parties.
Exactly. And on the other, we're seeing these technological advancements creating security threats we haven't quite figured out how to handle yet.
And that's really my mission today, to look at that second screen, the one that's, flashing red.
Okay.
We need to look at this through the lens of risk and resource allocation. We've got a stack of reports here covering everything from a tragic school shooting in Canada to drone warfare on the border of the United States of America.
And that's the thing. Usually these stories get siloed. You get your crime beat, your war reporting, your market news. But today, we're going to try and mesh them together.
To see the system as a whole, because they are connected. I want to unpack why, even though inflation numbers might look stable, the era of cheap money is, it's officially dead. And maybe most surprisingly, how artificial intelligence is about to put a massive stress test on our energy grids.
That is a connection I did not see coming.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, just a quick disclaimer for everyone listening. The sources we're pulling from today span the entire political spectrum.
Left, right, and center.
So we aren't here to endorse any viewpoint. We're here to report the facts contained in these documents and analyze the systems at play.
We look for the signal, not the noise.
Let's start with the heaviest signal then, which is coming out of North America. There's been a devastating event in Tumble Ridge, British Columbia.
A small community, usually very quiet, which makes this even more jarring.
It really does. It disrupts that whole baseline risk assumption for the region. Reports confirm a shooting at a secondary school there.
And the numbers are just grim.
Grim is the word.
Yeah.
10 people dead, 27 injured. The details emerging about the perpetrator are specific and very troubling.
So what do we know?
Authorities have identified the shooter as 17-year-old Jess Strang, a transgender resident of the area. But what really stands out in the police report is the weaponry involved.
Right. Looking at the tactical details, this wasn't a standard incident.
No. Strang was armed with a Desert Eagle pistol.
A Desert Eagle?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a significant detail. A Desert Eagle is a heavy, high-recoil weapon. It's not something you just pick up and use effectively.
And the preparation was documented. There's footage circulating on social media of the perpetrator practicing with this exact weapon at a target range.
Wow.
The incident ended with Strang committing suicide at the scene, but the horror didn't stop at the school. Authorities found additional victims at a related residence.
And the timeline mentioned in the reports is just harrowing. Students barricaded in classrooms for 2 hours.
2 hours, pushing tables against doors, just waiting.
That kind of thing creates a psychological scar on a community that has long-term social and, frankly, economic impacts.
So while that tragedy was internal, domestic, a kind of breakdown of the social fabric, a very different kind of threat was unfolding on the southern edge of the continent.
This one wasn't about an individual. This was state-level tech, clashing with non-state actors.
You're talking about the situation in El Paso, Texas.
I am?
The airspace over El Paso was effectively shut down.
Oh.
And this wasn't, a weather delay.
No, this was due to active operations against Mexican cartels who are now using drones.
And we need to be clear here, these aren't hobby drones taking pictures.
No, this is organized, asymmetric warfare.
It got so intense that the military of the United States of America, specifically out of Biggs Army Airfield, had to deploy what reports are calling experimental technologies to counter them.
Experimental technologies. I mean, that's a phrase that should make any risk analyst just pause.
What does that signal to you?
It implies they're using unproven, maybe even classified electronic warfare assets right in a domestic setting.
And because of that, the FAA had to shut down all civilian flights. They basically said, we can't guarantee the safety of a commercial airliner while the Army is, blasting or jamming these drones out of the sky.
This is the economic angle that just fascinates me.
Go on.
Think about the financial asymmetry here. A cartel can buy a drone for a few $1,000s, maybe less. To stop it, the United States of America has to shut down commercial infrastructure, delay logistics, and deploy military assets that cost millions.
It's a completely lopsided equation. The disruptor spends pennies, the defender spends millions.
Exactly. The cost-benefit ratio is skewed so heavily in favor of the chaos agents, it creates this massive logistical burden. I mean, if a $1,000 drone can ground a 737, your economy has a serious vulnerability.
And that theme of stabilization costing a fortune is popping up everywhere. We're seeing new trip movements in Africa that, mirror this same need.
Specifically in Nigeria.
Right. The United States of America is deploying 200 troops to Nigeria. Now, the official mission profile is just training.
Train and assist.
They're there to help local sources combat Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa. And the reports explicitly note they are not there for direct combat.
But the geopolitical context is, let's say, tricky.
It is. If you remember, there was significant friction before. Former President Donald Trump had made comments about the lack of protection for Christians in Nigeria.
Relations were tense, to put it mildly.
But now, under Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we're seeing this ramp up in cooperation.
It just highlights a core truth of international relations, doesn't it? Security interests will almost always override past grievances. The threat of ISIS West Africa is a much higher priority than old diplomatic insults.
It's all about the current threat level. And speaking of threats, threats to leadership. We have a really disturbing report out of Colombia.
Yes.
President Gustavo Petro is claiming there was an attempt on his life, or at least serious sabotage.
This reads like a thriller, but the instability it signals is very real for the markets in South America.
Petro claims his helicopter had to divert because the landing lights at his destination were deliberately turned off.
He's calling it an assassination attempt.
Yes.
And whether it was technical failure or actual malice, the narrative is now out there. The head of state is vulnerable.
Right. And just to complete our little tour of global tension, we have to look north again, way north, to the Arctic.
Russia's making moves.
Sergei Lavrov, their foreign minister, issued a very specific warning. He said Russia will take military technical countermeasures if Greenland is militarized.
Military technical.
That sounds like a euphemism for missiles.
It's code for hardware, for sure. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the Arctic is the next frontier for resource competition. This isn't just about snow, it's about shipping lanes, minerals. Lavrov is signaling that Russia views the Arctic as a geopolitical asset play, and they're willing to defend it with force.
So let's just recap the map. We had domestic shootings, border drone wars, closing airports, troops in Nigeria, sabotage in Colombia, and missile threats in the Arctic.
It feels like the temperature is rising everywhere.
Which brings us to the engine that drives or limits our ability to deal with all this.
The economy.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have a speech here from Jeff Schmid of the Kansas City Fed. And if you're listening and waiting for interest rates to drop back to zero, you might be waiting a long time.
Schmid's speech is absolutely crucial for anyone trying to understand their money in 2026. His core argument is that, yes, the labor market is balancing out, and inflation is trending toward that magic 2% number.
Which sounds like good news. Mission accomplished.
Right, not quite. He explicitly said, confidence is not synonymous with complacency.
Meaning, don't pop the champagne just yet.
Meaning the new normal is here. He's warning that interest rates are likely not going back to those historic lows we saw in the last decade. The era of free money is gone.
But why? If inflation is down, why keep the rates up?
So Schmid pointed to this fascinating aha moment, and it has to do with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Usually we think of technology making things cheaper, productivity goes up, costs go down.
Right. Robots do the work, things get cheaper. Simple.
However, AI has a physical cost. Data centers are incredibly hungry for electricity. They run hot, they need massive cooling, massive power. Schmid is arguing that this huge new energy demand could create bottlenecks in the grid.
So if the grid can't keep up, energy prices spike.
Exactly. AI might lower the cost of writing an email, but it could raise the cost of keeping the lights on. That drives inflation right back up. It's a supply-side constraint that monetary policy can't really fix.
That is a paradox I hadn't considered. We get smarter computers, but we pay more for the electricity to run them.
And on top of that, he mentioned fiscal drag.
All right, break that down for us. What's fiscal drag?
In short, the United States of America is running a massive government deficit. To pay for it, the government has to borrow huge amounts of money. That deficit just sucks up available capital.
Okay.
So when the government is borrowing trillions, it keeps interest rates structurally high because there's just less capital available for everyone else. Businesses, homeowners, you.
So high government debt plus high AI energy demand equals structurally high rates.
That is the equation.
Let's see how this plays out in a smaller economy. We have a case study from El Salvador that perfectly illustrates this tension between financial ruin and visible growth.
El Salvador is a fascinating microcosm right now.
On one hand, you have a really serious debt issue. The government just missed its own February 10th deadline to publish pension reforms that the IMF requested.
And the numbers are heavy. We're talking $11.2 billion in pension debt. That's a massive burden for an economy that size. Plus, you have reports of losses at the Sociedad de Mercados totaling $5.2 million. The balance sheet is bleeding.
But if you walk down the street in San Salvador or look at the airport, it looks like a party.
That is the contrast. Tourism is absolutely booming.
A huge influx of visitors.
Yep.
Bronco Pro America is celebrating 30 years with these massive events. People are spending money.
It's a dual-speed reality. You've got this sovereign debt crisis simmering in the background, but the real economy of tourism and consumption is vibrant. It creates a high-wire act.
Can the growth in tourism outpace the interest on the debt?
That's the billion-dollar question.
Speaking of high-wire acts, let's talk about the information war. We have some updates on Telegram.
Yes. This is all about control and censorship.
Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, put out a statement about Russia restricting access to the app. He claims Russia was trying to force its citizens onto state-controlled apps.
For surveillance, obviously. And his comparison was very telling. He compared it to Iran 8 years ago.
Right. He said Iran tried to ban Telegram to force people onto a state app, and it just failed. People found workarounds because they value their privacy.
It just proves that in the digital age, state censorship has a ceiling. People will go to great lengths to avoid being watched. It's another form of that asymmetric conflict we talked about with the drones.
The state tries to build a wall, the users find a tunnel.
Exactly.
From digital secrets to much dirtier secrets, we have an update on the Ghislaine Maxwell situation.
The Epstein saga that truly never ends.
She has pleaded the Fifth Amendment. But the really explosive part is the deal her defense team floated.
This is the definition of high-stakes poker with the justice system.
Allegedly, she offered information that would completely exonerate Donald Trump and Bill Clinton regarding their ties to Epstein.
But there was a catch.
A huge one. She would only provide this information in exchange for a presidential pardon.
Which Democrats immediately labeled low-level blackmail. It puts the entire system in a bind. Is the truth for sale? It highlights how information is just another currency.
It really is. Now, I want to pivot to something a little brighter, but still very much economic. We talked about El Salvador's debt, but we also mentioned the party. And the biggest party recently was Shakira.
The Shakira effect, this ties right back to that dual-speed economy we were talking about.
It's massive. She performed in El Salvador, and it wasn't just a concert, it was a cultural phenomenon. The sources describe a manada, which translates to a wolf pack or herd of fans just taking over the city.
And the economic stimulus from that is very real.
Oh, absolutely. There's this detail about a thread hallway created by local artisans specifically for the venue.
This is what I call the joy economy. Even when macro indicators like pension debt are flashing red, people will spend on experiences. It drives local commerce outfits, food, transport.
We saw reports of artisan jackets, huge food sales. It's a stimulus package, but it's driven by pop culture.
It creates a temporary velocity of money that can mask deeper structural issues. It feels good, it looks good, but it doesn't solve the $11.2 billion pension hole.
It just makes the wait more bearable.
Precisely.
And speaking of pop culture making statements, we have to connect back to the start of our show. We talked about the border crisis in El Paso, the drones, the military tech.
Right, the hard border.
At the exact same time, Bad Bunny was performing at the Super Bowl.
A massive platform.
And he used it. There was an opinion piece noting his performance was a lesson to the world about anti-immigration sentiment.
That's a perfect example of cultural pushback. While the United States of America is deploying experimental tech to secure the border, the country's biggest entertainment stage is hosting a figure championing the very people on the other side.
It's a clash of hard power versus soft power.
That's it, exactly. The military controls the airspace, but the artist controls the narrative.
And one final, slightly darker pop culture note. A new forensic report is challenging the official story of Kurt Cobain's death.
I saw that.
It claims it was a homicide, not a suicide.
That is going to reignite decades of conspiracy theories. But again, it fits our theme today. We're constantly reevaluating, questioning the official story, whether it's the inflation rate, the Epstein list, or a 30-year-old cold case.
So let's try to pull all this together. We started with a tragic shooting in Canada and experimental drone tech in El Paso. We looked at troops in Nigeria, threats in the Arctic.
Then we saw how the Federal Reserve is warning us that the cheap money party is over, largely because AI is stressing our energy infrastructure and government debt is crowding out capital.
We saw El Salvador balancing a debt crisis with a Shakira-fueled tourism boom.
And we saw these battles for information privacy with Telegram and the dark bargaining of Ghislaine Maxwell.
It is a lot to process. What does this all mean for you, the listener?
I think it raises a really provocative question about the nature of stability itself. We're moving into a world where stability looks very different than it used to. If the new normal for the economy involves higher costs because our AI needs so much power,
Right.
and if geopolitical stability requires constant military training missions in Africa and drone jamming on the border of the United States of America, are we actually stable?
Or are we just getting really good at crisis management?
Exactly. Are we prepared for a world where stability is actually just managed chaos?
Managed chaos.
Ah.
That's a phrase that's going to stick with me. It's not about solving the problem anymore. It's just about keeping the lid on while the pressure builds.
That appears to be the strategy for 2026.
Well, on that cheery note, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this helps you see the threads connecting these seemingly random headlines.
Always look beyond the ticker.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.